Hello and welcome to the first time I'm filming in June of 2025. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Kris and today's video is going to be a reading vlog where I finally crack into The Crippled God by Steven Erikson. I feel like this has been a long time coming. I've spoken about it on like every TBR this year and we're in bloody June. So I had a quick look at the date when I last read a Malazan book, and I shelved Dust of Dreams, Book 9 of Malazan Book of the Fallen, on the 31st of January. So it has been a hot minute to finally finish this series. But it is the first physical read I was going to pick up when I finished War of the Flowers, and it's finally time. So I won't give too much away about this one during this particular vlog because it is Book 10 and the finale of the main Malazan Book of the Fallen series, and there's more books in the Malazan world, and I just bought the first book of like the novels of the Malazan Empire, which come after. But yes, I'll be starting this one in the vlog. Other than that, I've just finished my audiobook, so I'm pretty much at a clean slate right now, and I think I'm going to pick up Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. So I'll put the cover up here. This is a thriller. So not a book or not a genre that I dabble in too much. I think the last thriller that I read was a Dennis Lehane book, and I think that was Mystic River. I don't know too much about this one except the premise sounds cool in terms, like I haven't read reviews or anything like that, but it is about a woman, I believe, who runs a podcast where serial killers called into the show and they like confess their crimes and then something happens from there. So that is a fairly short audiobook. I want to say it's about 9 hours, but at the speed that I listen to, maybe about 7. So potentially there will be another audiobook that I'll bring up. If I finish the audiobook, I'm tossing up between The Wager by David Gran, which is a non-fiction, or So Gay For You by Leisha Haley and Kat Moaning of the L Word fame, which has just come out on June the 3rd. So potentially I'll read that. I've got it downloaded on Spotify, ready to go, both of them. So whichever way I go, you'll know about it, I assume, because we'll be running this for about 10 days. Now, with Malazan, I don't tend to just read these as a straight shot. There's a lot in there. I tend to have like 10 wiki tabs open whenever I'm reading it to make sure I'm figuring out where all the characters are meant to be and where they're from and their factions and the creatures and all of that. So I tend to need to break it up. So if I get to the end of book 1, they're normally split into 4 books. I will read something else, and that will either be Toothsucker by Caden Love or the third book in the Malatu series, which is, I want to say, Only a Grave Will Do by James Lloyd Doolan. I'll put that up here. But these are all, like, the Malatu book is another sequel, so I can't talk too much about that. We'll see how we go. Yeah, that's what I'm reading at the moment. That's what the next 10 days will look like. If I can get a Malazan book finished in 10 days, that'll be a bloody miracle. I'm fairly sure all of them have taken me between 4 to 6 weeks. So I would love to finish this before the end of June. It is currently the 8th at the time of filming. We'll see how we get on, but I will catch you in the next clip. Hopefully this microphone, it's new, is doing what it needs to do. We'll figure that out in editing, in post. Post me, we'll figure that out. Hello everyone, it is Monday evening. I finished book 1 of The Crippled God. So this one's actually not split into 4, it's split into 7, and there's 2 epilogues. So the books are like much shorter in this one than I was anticipating. So book 1 was 167 pages. I have no idea how long book 2 is, but I will continue on with book 2, I think. So initially, when I thought it was only 4 books, I was going to split it and read 1 book and then start something new after book 1. Because there's 7 and they're short, I think I will get to book 2 and see how I'm feeling. Generally, with these books, or my experience thus far with Malazan, has been that they're so dense that I've needed a break, whereas I don't know whether it's because of the page sizes or because I'm quite familiar with like the characters and what we're leading up to, because the last book, Dust of Dreams, book 9, is essentially a prologue for this book being the final battle. So there was a lot of lead up. I don't remember everything that happened in Dust of Dreams because it was January and it's a very big book, but I felt pretty well situated into the story as soon as I started reading The Crippled God. So we are at book 10. There are still many, many people who have not read this series, so I don't want to give anything away, even though it's been out for a long time. Um, book 1 essentially just follows an army that we've been following for a long time leading up to what this final battle is. I assume it's going to be Battle of the Gods and things like that, which is sort of what we've been leading up to with Dust of Dreams. Now, one of the criticisms that my friend Roger has with this series, and a very, very valid point, is a lot of the action is done off page. So, book 1, and I really felt this, even though I enjoy this sort of thing and sitting with the characters and their feelings and their conversations about particular things that are going to happen, a lot of the action in this series does happen off page. And it really delves into the humanity and the things around these big battles and things like that. So I don't know what to expect with this one. And whether we're leading up to like a final battle where we get 200 pages of battle on the page, I don't know. But anyway, part 1 was very easy to get through comparatively to other parts in the series. Again, maybe that's because I'm quite familiar with these characters now. And we were only really following a set of characters. And I don't mean a set of characters may be the wrong term because there's many, many characters in here, but one grouping of them. So we're following the bone hunters or the Malazans, so that army through various different pockets as they all come together to assume defeat the crippled god. At the end of the story. So that's where I'm at with that. I also managed to listen to 20% of Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson today. Quite a short book. I think it's only 10 hours, and I listened to it at the gym. I listened to it walking the dogs. So I got to 22% of that. Entertaining. I think in a similar vein for me when I read thrillers, it will end up being about 3 stars. But it's entertaining for what it is. We have just gotten to the point where someone is called into the podcast that Poe, the podcast host, has hosted, and it's getting a bit freaky. She's just agreed to go and do a live stream with this particular guest, which is not something she's ever done before, and it sounds like it's a dangerous thing to go and do, Poe. However, she's going to do it because people in thrillers are sometimes not the smartest. But I'm enjoying it for what it is. Very easy to listen to. I find that occasionally, if I'm getting bogged down in fantasy, listening to a thriller or reading a thriller or an action heavy book, quite good in terms of just having a bit of a breather because the plot lines are very easy to follow along with when I'm reading something like this where there's a lot of threads going on. So yeah, those two things, decent chunk of them. I'm aiming to get to page 200 of this today and read about 100 pages a day, which will mean it will take about 12 days, which would be like rapid time for The Crippled God or just any Erickson book, but we'll see how we go. And I probably will get to 50% of Tell Me What You Did tomorrow because I've got commuting to work an hour each way. Anyway, that was it for the update. I will talk to you when I have more. G'day team, we'll do a quick reading update. It is Tuesday night, the 11th. It's my dad's birthday tomorrow. I need to remember to call him. I haven't read much more of Malazan, The Crippled God. I got to page 200 whatever night I last filmed and just haven't picked it up. My in-office days tend to be a lot harder to pick up physical reads, but I do get audiobook time. So we will update on Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. So I'm at 77% of that one now. Look, it's fine. I acknowledge that this isn't the genre that I tend to gravitate towards. I am annoyed at the main character for doing some dumb things in terms of a thriller and just making some not smart choices, which I feel like happens when I do consume these reads. I will say that it's very easy to follow, very easy to listen to. But yeah, just the characters give me the shits. So I will finish it. I've only got like 2 hours and 20 minutes left, which is essentially my driving time to the office. So I should finish that one on Friday and be able to give you some final thoughts. At the moment, we are dealing with not a serial killer. Like it's not been confirmed that this person is a serial killer, but certainly a killer of some description that the podcast host, her name is Poe Webb, and she is being entrapped by this particular person who we suspect has killed her mother, and they've called into the podcast and basically gone, "It was me," and now we're dealing with repercussions of that. Some of the language in the book as well, like it's repetitive and annoying, and the dialogue seems quite clipped. Where I'm falling with enjoyment level is like a low 3. I'm not mad that I read it. I think it's serving its purpose for the time that I am reading it, and it is easy to consume while I'm reading Malazan. So maybe it's because I'm dealing with like super complex, well, not super complex, but more complex than what I'm currently listening to with Malazan. Anyway, that's where we're at with Tell Me What You Did. I should have some final thoughts on Friday evening when I finish the book. And then I'll pick up probably The Wager by David Grant. I was going to pick up So Gay For You by Leisha Haley and Kat Moening, who starred in The L Word, which is a queer show I grew up watching, or I grew up, or in terms of my sexuality. I was a young adult by the time it came out, but it is on Spotify. I think this book that I'm currently listening to will take up my hours that I'm able to listen to on Spotify, and I don't want to pay for more. I did get an Audible credit today because I forgot to turn that off. So that's banging around in there, but I would rather spend that on like an indie or self-pub read than something I can get on Spotify if I just wait. So I have until the 23rd for my hours on Spotify to reinstate. So maybe I'll read The Wager, because that I can get on Libby or BorrowBox, which is just a library app. I'm tossing up between that and potentially Neuromancer. I know that Ryan really enjoys Neuromancer, or has enjoyed Neuromancer in the past, and we're doing like a cyberpunk discussion. I want to read a bunch of indie cyberpunk for that discussion, but it might be interesting to have a background, and that's also about 10 hours. So we'll see which way we go there. I'm leaning more towards the non-fiction, though, personally, at this stage. Yeah, that was it for the update. Hopefully, the next time I have an update for you, I will be talking more about the Crippled God. I'm not like bogged down in this particular Erickson book where I have felt bogged down in the past, so I'm just going to keep going with it until such time as I need a break on the physical read. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Kris Talking in His Kitchen. It is the next day, June the 12th. It's my dad's birthday. Happy birthday, Dad. And I finished Tell Me What You Did this morning. I listened to the last 2 hours and 20 minutes or so while I was walking and gymming and all that. Normally I can't listen to music when I'm like at the gym working out, but I just had to finish this fucking book. So I want to speak, I guess, objectively about the book and my experience with it. Objectively, I'm not the target audience for this, so take this with a grain of salt. It is a thriller, and it is following a podcast host who invites people onto her show to confess their crimes, and one day this person calls in and admits to committing a crime against her family, essentially, and then it's like a cat and mouse situation with this protagonist. Now, I will say the book itself is entertaining enough. It flows very quickly. Most of the chapters end on like a cliffhanger, so I'm guessing if you like this sort of stuff, you will want to continue reading on. For me, it was quite formulaic, and I often find that when chapters end in the same way and the same rhythm of cliffhanger, it becomes quite repetitive and almost like I'm getting fatigued by listening to it, because I know it, I can predict it, and it becomes boring. But it was okay. It was fine for what it was objectively. Again, I'm not the target audience for it. I think the protagonist, Poe is her name, was just doing dumb shit towards the end, and I don't want to give too much away in case people want to go and read this, but I do find like a lot of the times I get quite frustrated with the protagonist doing dumb things and putting themselves in a lot of danger. It's like, wouldn't you think that through? But then again, I haven't been in one of those situations, fortunately, where adrenaline is just pumping and you're making decisions, and they may not be the smartest decisions. So yeah, finish that. I probably, objectively thinking about it for other people in like a wider audience, maybe a 3-star. For me personally, maybe a 2.5. Maybe 2. I don't know. Like, I'm not mad I read it, which is why 2.5. Like, I'm not at the point where I actively hated it, even though I didn't like this character. I don't know. 2.5 seems like middle of the road. It was okay. I am not gravitating towards this author again necessarily, or this genre anytime soon. at least it's cured the itch. It did its job in that regard. Malazan, I will finish book 2 tonight, which I think is page 279. I was going to continue going, so I'm quite motivated to keep reading Malazan. However, I have just been invited to a launch party for another book that I was going to pick up during this vlog, which is Only a Grave Will Do by James Lloyd Doolan. So I've said yes to that, which means I would really like to read that book before that live happens on the 25th of June. So at least for my time, because I'm in the future for a lot of the US people. So I'll probably start that tonight as well when I go to bed. I don't want to move completely away from a lesson because I am going at a relatively good pace for me. It takes me a long time to read these books. I'm on track, if I keep going at this pace, to finish it before the end of the month, which I would love. But I will switch for a little bit and jump into Only a Grave Will Do and give you some initial thoughts there. I guess the bummer for the vlog is that I'm reading a book 10 and a book 3, both the last in a series, so I can't give too much away, but I can talk about general vibes. Anyway, for now, I'm going to go and cook dinner. We are having a cottage pie of the plant-based variety, and I'm also going to make some salads because we're trying to look after our bodies for the next couple of weeks to de-cleanse all the crap from the last, I don't know, 6 months. So wish us well on that journey. Good morning, team. It is Sunday. It's Saturday, the 14th of June, which means we've got about 4 more days left in the vlog. I'm still going on The Crippled God. I was going to swap over and start Only a Grave Will Do by James Lloyd Doolan, but I'm really enjoying this one. It's probably the fastest and the most enjoyable reading experience I've had in a couple of books, and I guess that makes sense. It's the last book. We're leading to the big conclusion. I kind of don't want to stop while the momentum is going, but I will need to stop soon because the live for James Lloyd Doolan is on the 25th, and I need to read the book before then, and I believe it is quite long. So I want to give myself about 10 days for that, which means I need to start it tomorrow. But I did keep going. I'm halfway between books 2 and book 3. I should get to book 3 today, or finish book 3 onto book 4. I can speak, and we'll see. We'll see if I finish that today and I want to keep reading. Maybe I'll just keep going and get to the halfway point and then put it down. Maybe I won't be able to put it down and I'll blitz through it and then try and read Only a Grave Will Do in 3 days. I don't know, but we're still going on that. Still having a good time. It's the easiest book to read, in my opinion, after Dust of Dreams. Now, Dust of Dreams is like a prologue to the conclusion, and it's quite wordy and quite heavy. I enjoy sitting with people around the events that are happening and just having these discussions, and I think that may be the point. Somebody who's more well versed in Malazan, if you've read the books, then let me know down below. But we're sitting with these armies as they gear up to do this impossible thing, right? And they're having conversations about life and death and love and things like that. So if you like that, philosophical meandering, then I guess a lot of Malazan is that. I'm enjoying it personally. I quite like the density of the prose as well, and I don't know if I'm ready to be over, which is interesting because it isn't a favorite series of all time. I'm not like head over heels in love with Malazan, but I can appreciate it for what it is, and I don't want the journey to end. So I have the first book of the novels of the Malazan Book of the Fallen by Ian C. Esselmont, and I'll probably read that one before the end of the year as well. Maybe a couple of them, I don't know. They do have them in a local bookstore, so anyway, that's the Malazan update. They didn't have the wager, so I had to put a loan on that at the library, the the audiobook section of the library. So I'm waiting for that to come in, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll check out Neuromancer. So I have picked up Neuromancer. I'm about 40% of the way in. This is just a physical edition. I'm listening to it. Very cool. It is very cool to experience the book that arguably started the cyberpunk revolution. And we're talking about matrices, we're talking about Microsoft, we're jacking into digital worlds. There is a heist situation. I'll give you a bit of a review once I finish it. So I only started it yesterday. I'm about 40% of the way in. I won't listen to it tomorrow. I don't tend to listen to books on a Sunday. I take the dogs to the dog park, and if there's other dogs there, they need my attention because Ariana can be a shithead. I know she looks cute, but she can be a shithead. So I need to look after them. And then we'll be back on Monday. So while I'm working out and walking the dogs, so I should finish this one next week. I will aim to finish it before the end of the vlog, but no promises. And then I'll wait for the wager to come in. If the wager hasn't come in by the 23rd, then I'll switch over and read the Kate Moynihan and Lisha Haley book. But that is about it for reading updates. I've just had another beta read come in, which doesn't need to be done before, well, I've said early July, just to try and get Malazan done and out of the way, like finish that series. I'm writing something new. I haven't done a writing update yet. So I am playing around with a philosophical novella about faith and death and sort of my own journeys with grief and faith as well. So it's very different to Alpha, which is a action heavy sci-fi, like survival sci-fi with genetics and animal DNA and things like that. So this is different for me. A lot more navel gazy, different target market, but I'm enjoying it so far. I've only written the prologue, or the aim for this one is probably, I would say, between 20 and 30,000 words. So a novella to a short novel or very short novel length. If I hit 40,000, I don't really want it to go more than 30, but words have a way of doing that. What I'm trying to do with this one is to use less words to say more, as a bit of a self experiment to hone a craft which I have not perfected by any means. So there's that. I'll give you an update on that towards the end. I'm starting the first chapter tomorrow in a writing sprint with my friend Mark. So hopefully we'll get another 1,000 or so words in that done before I finish the vlog. At the moment, it's sitting at just about 2,000, so we'll see. But yes, that is the update for this morning. This vlog is a lot of sitting down. I haven't really been doing much else. I mean, you don't want to come and see me at the gym because no one needs that in their life, but that's pretty much all I've been doing. So I will catch you when I have another reading update, but I hope you are enjoying your day.
Good morning. It is Sunday the 15th. Rachel tested positive for COVID yesterday, like after my last update, and I suspect I now have it because this is as loud as my voice can go. And I slept like crap. Fortunately, we have no guests in the house, so we are both quarantining in respective rooms. Yeah, so I think that the Rona has decided my reading for the day is going to switch from Malazan, which needs the wiki page every 35 seconds, to only a grave will do, and we'll just see what I can get done today. About to go have a writing sprint with Mark and try and sweat the fever out, I guess, because I'm not feeling great. That grunting is not me, it's Valerie. You just finished breakfast and decided to come here and grunt. Beautiful. Thank you for gracing me with your presence. Rachel's meant to start a new part-time job tomorrow to try and supplement income from the editing business while we build a client base and things like that. She had to call them yesterday and be like, hey, so I don't want my first impression to be giving the whole office coronavirus. So, anyway, life goes on. It's just messy. If I'm going to go write, see how much I can get done. I do have like a gaming date. We're going to go spend some time with Ryan and Steph tonight. And I said to Ryan, we're sick. How about we just get on Discord and start trying out this multiplayer, this game. So we're going to try and do that. Yeah, unless I go downhill, we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Yeah, that is what the day's plans. And if I get some reading done, I will update you later. Okay, bye. Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday the 17th, I want to say. Yes, 17th of June. Feeling better than I did the last time I did like a reading update because I felt like trash. And then I didn't read anything that day, which I think was Saturday? No, it must have been Sunday. Didn't read anything on Sunday. I just slept. And Rachel and I have taken, like, I think we're over the hump. They are not flies, they are pitch hooks with no pitches on them. Up there. um, so, still not feeling 100%. I have today off work. I'm back at work tomorrow. Fortunately, I do have the option of working from home when COVID strikes. Valerie's mouth started bleeding, so we have to wait until, like, we are not infectious. Hello, yes, I'm talking about you. To go and see. You already had breakfast. What do you want from me? To go and see the vet, so that'll be fun. Hopefully we can stop her from bleeding all over the carpets. Anyway, reading update. I started Only a Grave Will Do by James Lloyd Doolan. I'm about 20% of the way through. I was able to read yesterday, which is great. I am going to miss these characters so much. Kylo and Tayen. I don't want their story to be over. Kylo, I hope I pronounced one of those correctly, is such a special character in that he never wavers from who he is, and this series really follows his journey of trying to keep Enya safe and away from colonization, and his personal story. And throughout the series, we see his backstory and also his day in the present, and the fight remains the same, but his attitude towards the fight differs as he grows older, but he can see his younger self in these, new fighters who want to keep Enya safe, want to keep it away from the Ghost or the Goust. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. It's such a magical story and it's such an important story. And there's something about James Lloyd Doolan's writing which really invokes that such an empathetic response in me, and it's so timely in the political climate that we're at, where people are having their lives stripped from them in the Western worlds, not to mention worlds that are outside of ours, and it's just crazy. I don't want the story to be over. It's shorter than I thought it was. I thought it was about 800 pages. It's only 600-ish, 590, I want to say. So I should be finished well and truly in time for the live show, which is going to be the aim. So, yes, got today off work just to hopefully reset, get more over this. I do feel better today, which is great, but it will be a home day. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not really doing anything besides from resting, so hopefully I can get another 20 to 30% of that done today and hit the 50% mark, which would be great. Then I'll give you an update then. Good morning, team. Yesterday ended up being a kerfuffle, a COVID kerfuffle. I had to take the dog to the vet, but because I had COVID, it was like such a weird experience. So it's now the last day of the vlog, June the 18th, which is Wednesday. Yes, Valerie's been bleeding from her mouth a little bit, and I called the vet and said, "Hey, we have COVID, but notice there's blood on, like, towels, and like we've tried to surface the areas where she normally sleeps because it seems to be coming from the back of her mouth." I said, "We really need to see her." Because you've got COVID, obviously, like, you can't come into the vet, but we need to see the dog. So, okay, so masked up, took the dog, and I had to, like, the vet door is here, and I had to blind trust that this dog would go into the vet door and be curious enough to, like, go in there. So I stood outside with my mask on, social distancing, and the vet receptionist came out and had to, like, guide this dog while social distancing into the vet, and then Valerie had to stay in the vet until the vet could actually see her, and then I had to go and pick her up same way, like, just like social distancing let her out into the car. That was easier because she wanted to leave the vet and come with me, so she just, like, walked up to me, which was fine. But yeah, Valerie is like one of the most stubborn dogs I've ever met in my life, and if she doesn't want to move, she will dead weight. She will not move. So that was interesting. But she now needs dental work done because of plaque buildup, which is why she's been bleeding. Anyway, it's not why we're here. I didn't read a whole hell of a lot yesterday. I got to 30% of Only a Grave Will Do. I think I'm at 50% of Neuromancer as well. So Neuromancer is interesting, but it is taking a little bit more brain power, which I just don't have right now. I feel okay. It's just the brain fog is an overhang. This round of COVID has been much more pleasant, is probably not the right word, but
way better than the first time I had it. So I was essentially quite, not even quite ill. I felt like I had a bad cold for a couple of days, but the brain fog has definitely like stuck around. Um, yeah, I'm back at work today in like 40 minutes. So anyway, I didn't read a whole hell of a lot. I don't know how entertaining this vlog is going to be in terms of like updating, so I didn't finish anything, I don't think. But yes, I got to book 4 of The Crippled God, which I have over here. So I will continue that after I finish Only a Grave Will Do. I'm 30% of the way through that at the moment. I should be at 50% today. Normally when I work from home, just can't go into the office, I do get a little bit more reading time just because there's no commute, but I don't get a lot of audiobook time. I just got notified that the wager is also in the library, so I need to hurry up and finish Neuromancer so I can get to that before it goes away forever. So that'll be the aim for this week. But I will leave on a book mail note. This might be one of the last packages that I show from Amazon here. And this was just like bought on a whim. So for anyone who doesn't know Black Milk is a clothing brand. I want to say they're Australian or New Zealand, and they do a lot of pop culture clothing. Anyway, there was a T-shirt. This is not a T-shirt. It's a long-winded story. Sorry for the noise. There's a T-shirt that I saw and it had a neon shark on it, and I was like, okay, well, what's that in reference to? And it happened to be in reference to a Junji Ito's manga or graphic novel called Go, not sure, which is like a humorous underwater horror manga. And I'm not big into manga. I would like to be, and specifically, I quite like Junji Ito's horror artwork. So, like, if I was going to read manga graphic novel stories, it would probably be something from this particular artist. So, I bought the reference to the shirt because I saw a neon shark, and it's called The Depths. The Death Stench Creeps, and there's like it's Anyway, I saw a shark in it and I picked this up. It happened to be on sale when I went and looked up what the reference was to for about $25. Normally these go for anywhere between say 40 and $50 a piece, and it's got the 2 volumes in here. So I don't know when I will read this one, maybe in between bigger things that I've got going on, but it is my first Junji Ito, and I'm probably butchering that pronunciation as well, and hopefully not my last if I enjoy what I read in here. So that was the reading vlog. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up down below. If you want to see more of it, subscribe at your will, and I will catch you in the next video.